I don't know. Give me a beat, Danny.
Harmonize.
We can
I
harmonize.
don't know. Can you harmonize?
I don't know how to sing. I don't even really know what harmonizing is, but you start it, or do you want me to start and no, you start, I chime in. We'll harmony.
Freudian
Freudian
slips.
slips. The second one was a little hard to harmonize with you, but it's okay.
We got it.
Woo! We did great. Oh, hi, Danny.
Hi, Ollie. And hello, everyone. This is the Freudian Slip Show and podcast. This is the place where we get to explore the shrinks, thinks, and kinks of the mental health field. And we are very excited to have everyone here today to hang out with all of you.
This is our very first episode, and we wanted to introduce you all to this passion project of ours. My name's Ollie, and I'm a school psychologist and a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California and Idaho.
And my name is Danny. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in California, as well as a certified sex therapist.
And we are your hosts. So today we will be talking about what Freudian Slips is, who the show is for, why this place exists, and what this show can potentially become with a little help from all of you lovely people that are watching and listening.
So to kick things off, what is Freudian Slips? So as mentioned in the intro, this is a show that aims to explore the shrinks, kinks, and thinks of the mental health field. So what that means is that we're going to be introducing all of you guys to the best minds in the field, both past, present, and future. So psychotherapy is such a broad practice, right? But we have such foundational figures. We have Bowen, Satir, Frankl, one of my favorites, and, the show's namesake, Freud. And us nerds, we like to kind of break down all the theories, the therapies, and the modalities to help make sense of all of it to help you potentially find the best perspective to help you live a healthy life. So that takes care of like the shrinks and things part. But what do we mean by kinks? So this is one of the things that we were actually kind of going over a few times when we were trying to figure out our name, right? Originally we thought about like shrinks and kinks. So kinks has a double meaning. So the first one is, I think that we really understand that as much as we love our jobs in the field, that mental health field isn't perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
far from it.
Yeah. So resources can be really hard to get. There's a lot of poor information out there, especially when you read some like self-help books. And the professionals can often be just as flawed and hurt as those that they're trying to help. So what we would love to do is to make this place somewhere where we can kind of iron out those kinks, right? And help everyone grow in the process. And some of y'all might have already caught, but I'm a sex therapist. And Ollie, I think you're you count. You are a sex therapist.
I am also a sex therapist.
Yeah. And so we want to help all of y'all explore sexual health and all the kinky topics that come with it.
I think, Danny, it's also a good place to point out what Freudian Slips is not. We are not legal or therapeutic advice. Danny and I are both licensed therapists, but this is not a place where we are giving therapy. I think we are using our therapy education hats are on, but our therapist hats are not on. And this is, I think that's a part of the fun of this, is we can be two therapists that show up and chit chat and get to hang out and talk about mental health things without feeling like we are being therapists right now. And so I think it's important that everyone knows if they do feel like they need to reach out or want more help with topics that we talk about or interested in things we talk about, like we fully encourage you to reach out to us or to reach out to a therapist in your area that you can explore these things with.
Yeah, very good, very good. And so, Ollie, who is Freudian Slips for?
Danny, great question. Freudian Slips is for the clients. I think both you and I have talked about, we just would love a space. And honestly, that's why we started this podcast. Like we talk about these things, just you and me, without recording it. And so we wanted a place where we might as well just share with other people things that we think would benefit clients and just the general public about mental health and different types of therapy or therapy related questions in general. Also, I think clients and people that are considering therapy, like we can talk about what different types of therapies are. And we'll go through different topics that are pretty broad and common in therapy, like just overall things like anxiety, depression. You and I both love couples work, communication. And so I think it's a place where the general listener, clients of therapy, or people that have ever considered therapy can benefit a lot. But I also think it's for therapists or people that might be considering
Yeah.
working in the therapy field. Both Danny and I run our own private practices, especially in a place like California, where I think there can sometimes be a lot of confusion and moving parts, and it can be scary to start this stuff up. And it's been really fun having someone like Danny that I can talk to and we can learn from and kind of bounce ideas off from each other. And so I hope it's something that if a therapist is thinking about going into private practice and maybe hasn't made the jump yet, or if people are even maybe thinking about becoming therapists, we'll talk about our experience in grad school, our educational paths, and also just our path to starting our private practices and the ongoing structure and hardships and challenges of running our private practices day to day, month to month, year to year. Generation, oh no, century to century. Maybe generation, I don't know. That'd be really funny if you were a therapist and then had a kid who became a therapist.
Or I actually think that it does kind of fit word generation to generation, because think about us 10 years from now. Who are we going to be the only ones on this show, or are we going to be passing the torch to someone?
So Danny, why? Why did we decide to make Freudian Slips exist?
Yeah. So for me personally, I think it's like a twofold thing. So number one, I think that private practice can get a little lonely. Like therapy, like our field in general can get a little lonely, but especially in private practice. And when you consider everything that happened like after COVID, right? A lot of us, you, for example, are 100% virtual, right? Me, I
Mm-hmm.
offer both, but I do have a handful of virtual clients. And even if like all my clients were in person, being in private practice, I can spend all day here and just not talk to any other person. And so like I really wanted to make FS exist so that I think it'd be a great way to kind of build a little community, to kind of have a bunch of people come together, talk and spread ideas, and, kind of make this place a little bit better. 'Cause I thought that was really, that's one of my things when I kind of
I
came into
love
this.
that.
Yeah. Another big reason for me for why FS would exist is because I am also an educator, right? I currently teach at a university, and I love my students. I love just how much enthusiasm they come with, how much heart they come with. They want to kind of bring about good change in the world. And yet, I found throughout the years that there's always these topics that come up, whether it be about relationships, about diagnoses, about fill in the blank. And when you kind of leave it up to the room, like, hey, what do you guys know? What do you think you guys should do in this instance? Hands go up, and I've always gotten a lot of answers that are like, ugh. A lot of people are like, oh, you should have them read this book, or you should have them do this thing or that thing. And like a part of me understands, like, they don't know what they don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if no one is around to kind of like check that information, to be curious as to how they get those answers, where those resources come from, then I think we as professionals really become almost responsible for some of the misinformation that's out there. And so I want the people who are interested in the field to be able to have access to really good information, because those become the ideas that everyone kind of bases their behaviors and their ideologies and everything, their ideas of health from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our job, right? Our job is to kind of captain that. And so I always really wanted to make that. What am I trying to say? I've always wanted to help give good information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Danny, that speaks to my soul because I feel like in another life I wanted to be a high school math teacher. And I just felt like the structure of how high school math is done itself is, I believe, flawed. Bigger things with the school system. It's a long story. But I also think math is one of those things. Like you could have had a good maybe like geometry, algebra, it's like you get to pre-calc and it's like, oh, no, I'm out. It's like it only took one bad math class or experience to have people be like, math isn't for me. And it's like, no, like math they're all so different. And like some kinds of math works better for some people's brain and other kinds of math works better for other people's brain. And it's like, no, like this is so useful in so many areas that like I wouldn't want someone to just have one bad experience and then write it off. And so passion project of mine in another life is to change the high school math system. But in the meantime, I think this is kind of speaks to what you're saying, where I feel like this is our contribution to doing so. Like I think people who are passionate about topics and really care can give information that's good information and hopefully more, like you said, like a community, a dialogue where we listen to what people want to hear or what they want to know and we can help. So that way people have solid information that then they can choose to make different decisions off of. Or I don't want people to get jaded or hear one thing about mental health or what it means to be a therapist or, insert whatever and just decide like, oh, that must not be for me. Or like, and just write it off. And so I think us being able to give more detailed, thorough, and good education across the board, I'd hope would just help people on their journey of mental health, no matter where they're at, whether it's like they want to get involved or they're just kind of working on mental health things for themselves. But I think quality education and people that are passionate about the topics are so important to making those changes. And so if we're not doing it in the California math education system, we can do it in therapy.
Sidebar conversation. It's funny that you bring up like math because in high school, no, it wasn't even in high school. This was junior high. Junior high, my 7th grade math teacher, he changed. I think it's an exaggeration to say that he changed my life, but he was one of those people. It was math. I've never
been in a good way or a bad way.
In a good way. He didn't like touch me or anything. We're fine. Fine.
No, not like that. I just meant, did he make you hate math or like it?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't set that one up well. No. This is good. This is a good story. Good story. Story time. Yeah, whatever. Math is math. I never really had any way about it. But obviously, well, I don't know about obviously, but I had mostly women teachers. I think I can only remember one male teacher up until this point.
Math or teachers in general?
Just in general.
Okay, yeah, okay. For a minute, I thought you meant obviously most of my math teachers were female. And I was like, not obvious. That's great. Women in STEM.
No, the majority of my math teachers were actually female.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun fact. But another fun fact or not so fun fact is growing up, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad. And so my relationship just with male figures, it was never bad, but it was always one of those just like distance is fine, right? If I don't need anything from you, I'm going to be okay. This guy taught me how to tie a tie. I know how to tie a tie today.
Because of your 7th grade math teacher?
Because of my 7th grade math teacher. And also, I think learning in school and maybe as to why like I am the educator that I am today is in part like I think that seed was kind of sown with him because I do remember me not doing so great in that class for whatever reason. Again, I wasn't a bad student, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't performing to his standards. This guy like pulled me aside, this dude, right? And again, like I hadn't had any relationships with men up till this point, and he was very firm, very strict, but he said like, hey, like, I know you can do better than this. And so I'm not asking you to give up recess. I'm not putting you in detention. I'm not trying to I'm saying I want you to take some time because I want you to do this test over again because I know that you could do better. And there's just something about that like interaction after that, like something just kind of clicked. Like just being in school, I've always loved being in school, but something about just being a student kind of clicked. And so, hell yeah, like we need the math system. And yes.
I mean, it all really needs to be changed, but for some reason, math was always my go-to. I really like math. I don't use it much now, but that's why I think I still tutor. I'm just like, got to keep it alive somehow.
Yeah.
It's good for us. Good to keep that brain working in different ways.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
It makes me so happy.
So shout out to that guy. I hope he's,
Yeah, shout out to that seventh grade math
yeah,
teacher.
I hope he's doing amazing, lives on an island and just like runs a country because that guy, I
Who's
appreciate that.
teaching all the youth how to tie ties that don't know how.
Yeah.
'Cause someone's got to teach them. Ugh, that makes me.
Anyways, so getting back to why Freudian slips is, why Freudian slips exists. What made you want to start the podcast?
Yours were good, Danny. They were a very different angle than I think what I was thinking, which is why I think we're such a good pair. One of the things that I was thinking about when we decided to start this is I think people deserve good information coming from people that seem relatable and maybe not the like stereotypical image of a therapist or what people think of when they think of a therapist. I like that therapy is our career, but we're also just two people in our 30s navigating our own lives and with our own personalities. And I want people to have a place to receive free information and see what being a therapist can look like that maybe they hadn't considered. And I think in general, it's a career that could be right for so many people, or maybe therapy could be good for so many people, but they just have this idea of like, oh, but a therapist wouldn't have acrylic nails or, like big personalities. And it's like, no, like therapists can have all that stuff and like still be awesome therapists.
Yeah.
And so I think that that was really important.
Yeah, on that one of the things that actually makes me super excited about this show and just catching up with you every week is that, like, while we have so much things in common, you and I think, do represent like fair opposite ends of a spectrum, right?
You don't
Like,
say.
for people who don't know, we've already recorded a few episodes and we've talked about a few things. And even when we're not recording and we're just kind of catching up and talking about our week, we go about things so differently, right? We go about things so differently. And so I think that that's super cool. If you're talking about relatability, if you're talking about hearing from people who are, kind of just making their way through their career and through their lives, you're not just going to be, I hope that when you hear like 30s, youngish, weird personalities, like I hope that doesn't build a box,
Yeah.
because in those things, you and I are very different. But I think that's what makes us work.
Yeah. And I think the relatability, what I've loved so much about the job is some of the clients that I've had over the years that are like, wow, like Ollie, I've never felt like I've had this kind of relationship with a therapist before. Like I never felt like I could relate to someone, or like they really heard me and like what I was saying, and like you get it. And a lot of those people look nothing like me, and they don't have we do not share the same religious beliefs, and or to the point that I might know nothing about their religion, or like they're nowhere near my age. And so it's been really fascinating to me to hear people that, like, when you look at the two of us, it's like you guys could have like there's nothing these two people could have in
Yeah.
common. And to hear those kinds of people be like, oh, Ollie, like no one makes me feel like you do, or like you get it on a level that no one's been able to get it. And that's like fills my heart up so much, because it's not just from other blonde-haired women with acrylic nails in their 30s.
Yeah.
It's like I'd say I don't really have any clients like that. It's like just people that seem to have no similarities on the surface, or like wouldn't get to know each other or cross paths at all in the just kind of organic world, especially because I just do teletherapy. It's like, oh, we would literally never cross paths, nor would we ever be like friends. But it's so cool that when you put it in a therapeutic space, and if someone resonates with you, just like I'm sure like your good clients, Danny, that resonate with you, like it's a different kind of connection that you build with people. And to hear the feedback of them feeling so heard and like cared for just makes me, I think that's like one of my favorite parts of doing the job.
Yeah, and like speaking to like the kind of people that relate to you is, I know, and you can kind of say it for yourself, but I know that you tend to kind of draw a very interesting crowd. Whereas me, like for example, on my end, people that look like me, so young, 30s, brown, that's actually not my biggest pool.
I think I might actually have more of those clients than you.
I see a lot of like middle-aged to older men,
Mm-hmm.
and that are big business, owners of their own company. They have very, very different lives. A lot of first responders, a lot of people in law. So yeah, you can relate to almost anyone And again, I know that you also tend to draw a very different crowd compared to what we might think just by looking at you.
Yeah, and I think some of it's for better and some of it's for worse. And I think we'll get into that stuff in later episodes for sure. But I that was a piece I never even really considered about the career, like thought about until you're like a therapist in private practice, just kind of doing the thing. And I think the kind of clientele I was realizing I was getting in these different areas either was like a really cool surprise to me, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like I love this, and I never would have thought I'd have this population of people, and again, that feel so like heard and respected by me. But then, on the other hand, I think I was really excited for some things and working with some, issues or modalities and topics that I ended up getting a totally different type of response from, and I didn't necessarily love that, and I like have kind of veered away from it for those reasons. So I think that'll be something really cool to talk about later too, because I don't think a lot of people consider that too much, or maybe know how that kind of goes for a therapist.
Yeah, I got to make a note about that one because
that's a good one. We haven't thought about that before.
I think I know what you're talking about, and that is like a really good conversation about those things where we thought we were going to go into, we thought we were going to explore the people we thought we were going to be with, and actually being with them ended up being a very different story. And so, I'll make a note because that one was...
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a good one. But will you make that note, Danny, too? I had one other thing for why FS exists.
Yeah, man.
And I think it's maybe it's like just the most kind of like broad and obvious, but I think it's just a place for two friends to talk about topics that we're passionate about in a way that allows us to not only share information with people, but it just helps us practice what we preach. And I think it's good that we spend intentional time together, that we carve out and we keep sacred in our calendar, just like we would for, like keeping our workouts sacred or any other kind of self-care, or even how we schedule in our appointments. Like, I love that you and I come together each week and are like, okay, like, when are you free this week? And we have our little friend date and we do this. And we can share information with people. And then also, I know it's both of our first times like playing around with a podcast, and like we ordered these microphones and didn't know which direction they went, and we're trying to I don't even edit, and it's like I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I'm singing jingles, like I don't know, I was never a caroler. Like I was in one play once, Iago. It was a main role. Calm down. I'll accept a standing ovation later. But yeah, so it's like I think it's just, this is where we can practice what we preach and like learn new skills that put you out of your comfort zone, but are a great balance to lots of other things that you might do. And I think both of us we're like forever learners. And I think that this kind of speaks to that too.
Yeah, 100%. I've already, in just like our offhand candid check-ins, weekly check-ins, I've already learned so much from you. But I love that we do have a little bit of time for case consultations every now and again. And it's like, I know that if I'm going to be hopping on, potentially talking to you, another therapist whom I trust, right? Someone who I potentially am receiving clients from or sending clients to, I'm always like, is what I'm going to say, like, is that even true? Am I just about to like say what I think to this person? And so the whole practice what you preach thing, I think is big. And when we're kind of on a more public or bigger, stage, it's only going to push us to be better at what we do, to really strive to kind of like take care of our community, whether it be clients or, fellow professionals. And I think that almost kind of like speaks to maybe a mission that we might have. Like that's what this show is about. It's about building a community and having a place where people can come and really kind of understand themselves, understand the field, make good decisions, and like get what they need to kind of live healthy lives. And I think that starts with just kind of the standard that you and I have set just with our friendship.
Yeah. I tell clients all the time that there's like all this research that shows happy people live life in accordance with their values. And I think you and me doing this and the things that we're trying to share with people is kind of just an extension of that. Like, I think this is you and I living life in accordance with our values. I think it's our mission to try and help other people live life in accordance with their values and make the most informed decisions they can when trying to do so.
Yeah, love it. So on to our last topic is, speaking of community, how can all of y'all listening and watching help make Freudian Slips what it is that we are hoping that it becomes. One of the first things when we were talking about starting this thing up, this was like my biggest idea, is I said, Ollie, what if you and I come together and we get products, right? Let's get books. Let's get, again, like we're both sex therapists, so it's like, let's get lubes. Let's get vibrators. Like, let's look at these things that can help people in their career or in their practice or in their lives and see if they're any good. Is there any research behind it? Is there any merit behind these things? So we can kind of explore these things so that we can give you guys a good referral list. So how you can help us is if you guys can send us some books that are maybe on your bookshelf or some products that you've been interested in, or maybe you kind of phrase it in a question like, hey, me and my partner are struggling with this. Are there any resources that you guys have come across to help, people such as myself kind of going through this thing? And so, yeah, that's one thing that you guys can do for us.
Ooh, and to piggyback off that, Danny, I think too, like I know you mentioned books, but then also I'm thinking of there's so many TV shows nowadays that Shrinked being one of them. Do I love the show? Absolutely. Does it scare me a little bit for what they think the ethics of therapists are? Absolutely.
Is that the one with Harrison Ford?
No, I don't. Yeah,
Is
it
that the one
might
on
be.
Apple
It's the
TV?
guy. I think so.
Indiana
It's the
Jones?
one with the guy. Well, I don't really remember. This came out a while ago, so I've watched all of it. But if that guy is in it, is he the guy that like runs the place or
The old
something?
man.
Then maybe. This is the one with the guy from, oh Lord, Pineapple Express?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Oh, we're on the same page. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. So it's it's that one. But it's a great show. I gotta get better with like faces and names but anyway, it's a great show. But it is a show. It's a show. It's a
I
show.
think you just
I
put our
just wanna repeat
viewership in
that in case.
jeopardy with not knowing who Harrison Ford is.
No. I know who Harrison Ford is. That one I've got a picture, I've got a face to the name. It wasn't like when we talked about future episode, it's an embarrassing moment. But when we talked about I think I just saw it so long ago.
Sure.
I don't remember his role because I clearly just remember the main therapist guy.
Yeah.
And like his relationship with that client.
Shrinking is what you're talking
Shrink. Oh Lord, what did I say the show was?
Shrinking.
I really liked the show, which is the most embarrassing part. I can't remember the characters.
Yeah.
I got the name wrong. It's about our freaking profession.
Mhm.
Shrinking.
Yeah.
God damn it. It's a good show. I just forgot the name. Dang it. Okay, but that's a show
It is.
about therapists that like I think that's another good thing that people can or what was there was a movie where the guy had like personality disorder, multiple personalities, which is now dissociative identity disorder, BT dubs. But what was that one?
The one that comes to mind is, and I really don't know if this is what you're talking about, the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Who the fuck is that?
Ollie.
I know. I need to
You need
whatever.
a movie education.
I know. I really can't suggest these things without knowing the names.
I'm thinking about that Thriller, though.
Yes. It's old. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's it. Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
I got you.
That's it. Okay, there we go. Look at us. We get there. So things like that come out, which you will obviously need to send us the names and like a link to since we're so bad at knowing them and getting them right on the first try. But if people have questions about like, is this actually what a therapist would do? Or like, is this actually what this thing kind of looks like? I think those are really cool topics that we could talk about too. So I think if people just have any questions about, whether it's like a resource or something that can like an item or a product, Danny, like you said, that's marketed to help people, or whether it's just about the topic of therapy or like relates to and speaks to different, personality disorders or diagnoses. Like I think all that stuff is great for asking therapists, like, is this accurate? Or like what do you guys think about this? So I love the idea that we get to talk about and kind of tweeze those things apart.
Yeah, kind of like an Ask a Therapist segment.
Yeah.
Kind
Love
of,
that.
yeah, like to that point, and really, again, like wanting to stay within our kind of like scope of practice of like what this show is going to be. But I do wonder if we might be able to kind of be open to listening to some people's stories and potentially kind of just walking through, if you were to go to a therapist, this might be some of the things that we would say. This might be some of the things that we might suggest. This might be some of the things that we might ask you to look into. And so, some of you guys, I see it done on so many other shows where they're just kind of like giving their problems to people, and nothing against those people, but a lot of them aren't professionals in the field. And so maybe we might be able to offer you a different perspective. Maybe we might be able to offer you something a little bit healthier, a little bit different. And so if we could do that, I think that'd be really fun.
Oh, I love that. And kind of just like helping guide people maybe in a direction that a therapist would guide them. And I think it's cool that you have both of us too. And like Danny said, we are very different, which I'm sure you guys will start to get a feel for in coming episodes and seasons. And I think it'll be cool to hear maybe how you would react or what you would say versus where my brain goes and what I would think or what I might suggest. And I think that it also can give people a great representation of how different therapists can approach the same thing in completely different ways. And sometimes maybe in really similar ways too.
Yeah, awesome. So I do think that we might be able to kind of like end this episode with kind of giving people a kind of like a sneak peek of what is to come or what's to expect, at least from this season, and kind of how we want to structure seasons forward. And so one of the things that I wanted to mention is just what to expect in this season, season 1. And so in the next episodes, I think we're going to be like launching the whole season at one time, right?
Yeah.
And so that in and of itself is something that I would love to get feedback from everyone, right? You and I have been going back and forth about like, how do we do this? Do we want weekly? Do we want to just put it all at once? And right now for this one, I think we are kind of like deciding to put it all at once. And I like that idea for this season because what to expect in the next couple of episodes, we're going to take some time for you guys to get to know who your hosts are. So I have a beautiful interview with Ollie where we get to kind of ask her a bunch of questions. And then she also did an interview of me. So you guys get to know a little bit more who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also round out things with talking about a little bit about the mental health field in general. So we're going to answer some questions, give you guys some guidance. What are some effective questions you guys might want to ask if you guys are interested in getting any mental health services? And so we're going to do that. But to kind of go forward from there is I would really love to get everyone's feedback on one thing that you and I have been going back and forth of is just the length.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you and I both really like the long form. Like I love just kind of sitting here and just talking to you and chatting it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we have talked about certain one-off episodes that might just naturally be shorter. But
Mm-hmm.
what is your kind of like pitch for having a show be longer to kind of maybe help generate the feedback we're looking for?
Ooh. I think Danny and I are we want to create this to help people. And the way that we tend to just meet up and talk on our normal weekly calls is, it starts somewhere and then it kind of just branches off into all these other related things on a certain topic. And so I think long form is more naturally how we communicate. And I think with things like mental health and how nuanced a lot of these topics can be, I think we tend to like the longer form content, but we want people to get what they need from these episodes in a way that resonates with them. And so we also, I think, are trying to kind of play with like short clips of like little nuggets that we can also post somewhere if you prefer kind of shorter little like, boom, here's a therapist answering something in like 30 seconds. But yeah, I think we'd love to know if you enjoy our kind of longer form conversations and just have it on in the background while you're just kind of going about your day, or if you would prefer kind of shorter, like direct answers and like nuggets of knowledge from therapists.
Yeah, I think like one of the big benefits of having a longer form is if we're talking about building a community and we're talking about like having people kind of be along for the ride or there with us as much as possible, I think you kind of get that a little bit more when you and I talk for longer sessions because we're able to kind of go deeper and go off tangents and bring back a lot of things that we've learned.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the long form shows that I've listened to, I've always really appreciated that. Like I feel as if I'm there with them, I'm a part of the conversation, I'm learning as they're exploring these ideas. And so I think you and I would have a lot of fun with that. a reason why we might do a short form, something like 15, 20 minutes, is maybe we're reviewing a product, or maybe we're kind of going over a modality that you guys really want us to go over. And so maybe those might be like smaller chunks. We don't want those to feel either rushed or kind of bare. And so it's like a pros and cons thing. I think we might do a little bit of both just to kind of get everyone's opinion or kind of feel for it. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But we are thinking about doing some longer episodes and going back to the whole season thing. So
Season 2, baby.
yeah, not only would we love everyone's thoughts on what they would want us to talk about, because obviously we want to make this show for you guys, but I would also love to hear everyone's thoughts about how they want to consume the show. So we are putting this whole first season out at once, and I think that kind of makes sense because while we're getting everyone's feet wet with the field and with us, I also don't think it's offensive to say that we're not really going deep into anything in particular, right? And so here it is, have it all, consume it at your pace. But something that I do kind of see being a thing as we continue this is that might mean that there's going to be some space in between seasons. Right? Whereas you might have like 8 weeks where you get one episode drop every week and you kind of get to like be on that journey with us for 8 weeks. If we drop the whole season, then that might mean for like a month or even 2 months, we're just going to be kind of away. We'll drop like one-offs or simple things. Maybe if you guys give us good questions, we can always hop on here and like really interact with you guys. And so I think that's a pro, right? The in-between seasons could be a wonderful time for us to be able to engage with the community and really give them those little things that they want while we prepare like some bigger topics. But also, if we are kind of like off season and we're not really posting much, then it is going to be a little bit, our responsibility, a little bit help from you guys to make sure that we kind of all stay connected in between those seasons, right? And so when we do come back, everyone's ready. It's not like we have to like start from scratch as far as getting everyone's attention. You know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts? I don't think this is something we've really kind of dove into the most.
No, I like that though. And I like the I think the topics covered in each season, like Danny mentioned, this one's definitely more broad. I think we just wanted to give an introduction to what this even is, who we are, why we feel therapy is important. Like I think we just wanted a nice, thorough kind of introduction to who we are, why we're doing this before we really delve into specific topics. And I know our second season, we are planning on all things private practice, since that is kind of our bread and butter. It's what we do. It's the businesses we've built. And so we really want to put a lot out there all at once in these chunks where you can kind of you can totally download it all, in your brain, by like, just mass watching it if you're really interested in it. And if you're not super interested in that, or you're not a therapist, or nothing about kind of knowing about things related to a therapist private practice interests you, then you kind of know you can skip over all of those. So I kind of like this idea of, I don't know, maybe if even ones like couples and communication is like a whole, or like couples kind of stuff is like a whole season, then I think it's nice to have one place with like a giant chunk of things that's like you can really access all of this if it pertains to you and if it resonates with you. But if not, then yeah, there's these one-off episodes, or like maybe a different season will resonate with you.
Yeah.
I think so far we just figured it would kind of be easiest for how we tend to record with each other, and then being able to kind of like cohesively edit everything and kind of almost like launch it or drop it all at once. So it's not just like one little episode every week, versus like you can really digest all this stuff at once if you want to.
Yeah. And one more thing that kind of came up on my mind, that how the community can help us make this great, is to give us grace with this first season. Please. But also let us know what works and what doesn't. So we are mental health professionals. We are not tech people. So
we are not tech.
Yeah. These first couple of episodes, I think, are going to be very, rough cuts.
Yeah, we're getting our bearings.
Yeah, we're figuring things out. So if you like these intros, or if you like these styles, if you like, how it goes, all of that would be helpful. We are trying to grow and we're trying to learn, but as we kind of get more familiar with the identity of the show, as we kind of nurse what the show is going to be, things will kind of start to kind of fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
But be ready, please. Be ready and kind. But the first couple episodes are going to come up.
Seriously.
It's a lot of us just messing around, pressing buttons, and hoping things work.
Yeah, season 2, I'm gonna have braces, so please just be kind. Last thing I need is bullying about my braces at 30. I get it. No one wants to be here.
Anything else come up for you, my dear, that we can ask the community to help make this an amazing show?
I think just like being kind with us, being kind with each other, and just coming at it from like an angle of curiosity. I'd say the more questions we get, like reach out to me and Danny. Like we are real people, we're therapists in California. I'm sure if you I feel like we'll have an email or something. It's like if you have questions, and yeah, like just reach out to us. Like we're normal, I'd hope nice people that just we're here to help, and we just want to provide resources and support for everyone. So I think the more that we're kind of letting our guard down and trying to be vulnerable doing this, and I think the more people want to participate and yeah, give us hopefully kind feedback and like submit questions, and all of that stuff is super helpful, and that's like why we've created this.
Yeah. Great. I think that's it. I think that's a wrap for the first episode.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Hope you guys like the rest of the season. And Ollie, I will catch you next week.
Catch you next week, Danny.
Bye-bye.